David, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here, and actually it's good to see a nice healthy turnout for what I'm sure will be an interesting morning. We have some terrific speakers, both from academia and a lot from industry, so I think we're going to be learning a lot about the state of CCS, which has been evolving slowly, but continues to evolve. I think CCS in testing times is a phrase that's certainly been uppermost in my mind for the last year or so. And of course, when I think about CCS in testing times, I think first of all about the need to demonstrate and test CCS at large commercial scale and integrated projects. And I'm pleased to say that all the people here will be talking about some of that today. And great progress has been made to date, actually. You know, we've made great progress in the EU and the UK with the demonstration projects. We've got policy, regulations, and partnerships, crucially partnerships in place. And of course, increasingly, and we'll hear also about this today, the promise and opportunity of CO2 utilisation. And certainly utilisation in processes like enhanced oil recovery, or EOR, could be key in helping bridge some of that cost gap. Because CCS does involve additional cost and perhaps be the cornerstone for ultimately a CCS business. But when I say CCS in testing times, of course, I also mean difficult times. And the context in which we're planning these large-scale demonstration projects has changed dramatically in the last 3 or 4 years. The current economic downturn has created new and substantial hurdles that are every bit as challenging, I think, as the technical aspects of CCS. The recession makes raising finance and debt much more difficult. Governments are finding it hard to allocate sufficient funding for these large projects. And the collapse of the EU carbon price means that the NER 300 programme, which is providing EU funding, will be less than, I guess, was originally envisaged. Ironically, CCS is probably needed more now than ever. It's the only large-scale direct abatement technology available today for fossil fuels. And we know that fossil fuels will be around for a long time to come, certainly the foreseeable future. Given the ease at which we still find new reserves of coal and certainly oil and gas, and the development of technology allows us to explore and develop resources that previously were impractical or too expensive to develop. So CCS is needed more than ever. It offers high quality jobs. It supports national requirements for energy security. And of course, it takes big bites out of the rising CO2 emissions. But there is room for optimism, and I'm hoping we'll hear some of that today. We can point to COP17, which provided a new pathway for the continued action from the world's major nations to identify ways to reduce CO2 emissions and deal with climate change. And hopefully we'll see progress towards that to the next deadline of 2015. And of course, CCS was now recognised in the Clean Development Mechanism. And I think that's also an important confidence boost for the technology. I think further in the UK, we should also have room for optimism in that we have some of the world's best engineers and innovators. And some of these people are with us today and working on these projects, which hopefully will be some of the first CCS projects in the world. As I said, we have many of these people here today. And without further ado, let's kick off the proceedings. And we'll start with John. John Gaius is with Durham University, and he's the Professor of Geoengineering and CCS. John has a long and illustrious career in the subsurface. He's been with BP in the past for about 15 years until 1996 as a geologist. He then went into setting up some independent sector companies, and some of you may be familiar with our Acorn Oil and Gas and Fairfield, who were involved in developing and redeveloping mature fields. In the last 5 years, John has been increasingly involved with CCS, and of course more recently moved to Durham University, where he's taken up this chair for geoengineering and CCS. Please welcome John to the podium.